So while growing up, I'm told my guest now had a rough upbringing, but despite his circumstance, he worked for success. He chronicles his journey in the memoir, From Grit to Glory. Author Garrald Hamilton, they call him Gary. Good morning, welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you, Never.
All is well?
All is well.
Those were not my words, but were I right, what's a rough upbringing?
So, as chronic underserved community, the ghetto, I was born in a community called Shaolin, as in from Shaolin Temple. It's nestled, I describe it in my book, is right in between two cemeteries. The two cemeteries in Savlamar is where I was, born, and still a rough community in a sense. So, that's where I was from. But, to be honest, when I talk about grit, that's where I got my grit. That's, I always tell people that I was extremely lucky to be born in that situation because it gave me all the tools that I needed to be successful.
And those tools would be what?
Those tools are resilience. Those tools are never giving up. Those tools are, when your back is against the wall, you're going to be the strongest.
Where did that come from, though?
It came from, growing up in a community and see the strive and see where my parents, struggled to make it and struggled to give us the opportunity. And, where I see many of my friends succumb to, died or lead a life of crime. Mm-hmm. And really walking and navigating that path actually, just gave me that type of resilience to say, you know what, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen the side that you don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And really trying to have a positive outlook, but also a community that push and help me as well. They were my motivators, and they were extended family and parents that that they teach me a whole lot and really held me up and pushed me towards whatever success that they saw that was in me. So.
As a young person, I wanted to be from a pilot to a magician. Every year it changed.
Yes.
How did you see yourself, say a 10-year-old? Did you have thoughts of saying, I want to be this person, I want to be like that, or that didn't even enter your thoughts?
It's funny. From an early age, I wanted to be an engineer.
And you are?
And I am an engineer, which is kind of...
Where did that come from?
So initially, I remember the first gift that I got was a plane. And I was 2 years old. And my brother got a plane, I got a plane. The next day, I didn't have a plane because I pulled it all apart and tried to put it back together. My brother's plane was still intact, so I was actually upset that I couldn't put that together. So it's it's dismantling stuff and putting it together. And I'm like, as I grew a little older, I realized, engineer does that. So that's something I'm like, what? That's what I want to be.
Yeah. When did you realize you didn't have to be where you came from? When did you realize that?
It's funny. At no point in growing up in Charlene, I thought that it was one of the best places in the world in terms of the fun that I had with my friends and that community. So for me,
so you didn't see it as no ghetto.
I didn't really see it as ghetto.
Yeah.
You just saying because I didn't understand and you didn't understand. Yes, you've seen friends who are more affluent and but I thought that I had the best fun. I had the best friends. I had people that uplift me. So, but it's really looking, going when I was going to high school, and also at a later age when you see that I had to do some stuff that my friends didn't do. I used to sell in the market, and I remember walking barefoot and I used to hide because I used to see my friends and stuff. So, because, no, you don't want to go back to high school and people seeing that you're walking barefoot. So it's during those times I actually realized that, it's, I didn't have it. There's the less fortunate than the fortunate. And I realized that I was one of them that.
And in your first book, you kind of tell us all what you just said.
That's right, yeah.
What about this one? What have you told us in this one?
So this one is really about leadership and entrepreneurship. So it's really about how the seeds were planted when I was younger, in selling back juice, but also, selling plum, being industrious. I was a barber, from the age of 13, I became a barber because I wanted another source of income, which was, promoted by my mom. She didn't, she encouraged it, and that's something that I did. So I work at JPS, I work as a labor and construction site. So name it, I did it, as a child growing up. So, but, I used to farm and plant stuff at the house. I farm callaloo and sell. So all these stuff are actually seeds that you're planted in terms of entrepreneurship, but also understanding that, they said turn a hand and make fashion. So it's just like you have to just use what you have to do something meaningful.
Yeah. I guess it's easy to barber yourself now.
Yes, that's right.
You're not forgetting now. You can just go so.
Yeah.
Pass the comb. How difficult was it to tell your story? Because as I said, the first one is what's the
Get to Youth's Bible.
Yeah, Get to Youth's Bible.
Yeah.
Well, how difficult? Because you are who you are now.
Yes.
And some people say, I forget that,
Yeah.
All right, now, how difficult was it to come out and tell your story?
To be honest, I was just telling Garth, the reason I actually wrote my first book was, after I did Profile with Ian Boyne. And after I finished and the response that I get, he said to me, you absolutely have to write a book. So it's really like, traveling that part in motivating, people and I do a lot of reels in terms of motivation. It's a positive affirmation that people wanted to hear. So it's, for me, after finishing the first book and how successful it was, a lot of people were asking, when are you going to do another one?
Yeah.
So it's not like it was in my thoughts that I would do one, but when my readers and everybody are responding, to say, hey, we would love to see another book, and there's more story to tell.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I chronicle it, and then because if it's a leadership point of view, it's really for people, who are trying to get into leadership, people who need that direction. So I actually did have illustration in it, to really go through and there's takeaways that you can actually use towards, building a life of, a successful.
9 years in the United Kingdom, close to the president's office.
Yes.
What's next for you?
So it's, it's really exercising what I'm doing now. I realized, for a time that that I love to give back. It's something that I always say, if I had all the money in the world, that's what I would do. So my book is 100% donated to my nonprofit organization. So I'm thinking,
and your nonprofit does what?
My nonprofit does mentorship. I totally adopted a school. We contributed, we do a lot of scholarships, name it, in the community, mostly in Savlamar, in Westmoreland community. But we did a tablet drive during the pandemic where we gave 1,000 tablets throughout the island.
Yeah.
So it's really, how I could expand on what we're doing and really just continue to do positive things so that people and, youths are, for me, to empower youths and really push them towards.
And you're using your degree. You're working in your area.
I am. So I'm a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, mechanical engineer.
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Some people think those people fix car, but it's not that,
Yeah, I'm on the building side. So I design, but I specialize in hospital designs.
Okay.
So that's my specialty. I do hospital designs, and I've been doing it for 28 years. But right now, I'm actually a growth leader for a company called Introba, which is a global engineering company. Doing projects, all over. But I'm in charge of more strategy and growth and sales. So that's something that I do well.
You are doing what you want to do.
I am doing exactly what I want to do.
Where do we get the book?
Book is available at Kingston Bookshop, at UWI Bookshop as well as Fontana Pharmacy.
Yeah, man. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Very, very well done.
Yeah,
very impressed.
And I want to tell you also that we're doing a book launch tomorrow at the Senior Common Room at UWI. At Mona at 6 o'clock. If you want to come out and get a signed copy from the author, you can do that. And Sunday, we're at in Savlamar at Sean Laver Fate Hall as well, going back home to really...
How much is the book?
The book are $6,000.
Yeah.
So
very impressed. Very impressed. And I'm sure you've motivated a number of people this morning. Thanks for coming in. Author Garrold Hamilton, or they call him Gary. That's it for Off the Shelf.